All right, guys, imagine this. You're stressed out. You're searching for meaning, maybe even looking for a guru who can guide you to inner peace. And then you find him, a wise, robed, soft-spoken spiritual master from the East named Kumaré. Hello. His teachings are deep, his presence calming, his beard glorious. But here's the twist. He's completely fake. That's right. In today's episode, we're unpacking the jaw-dropping true story of a man who pretended to be a spiritual guru and actually gained real followers. Yep, Kumaré is a documentary that's part prank, part social experiment, and part spiritual roller coaster. And before we jump into today's episode, I want to invite you to not just learn with this lesson, but to experience it on the RealLife English app. Let me give you 5 reasons why. So first off, you get vocabulary flashcards for advanced expressions like glorious, soft-spoken, and jaw-dropping, which will help you to never forget them. It uses innovative technology that works alongside your brain to take the things you learn from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, meaning they're actually available to you when it comes time to speak. Second, you can follow along with our interactive transcript. If there's anything you don't understand, you simply tap it to get an instant definition. Third, it's an ad-free and distraction-free environment, not like here on YouTube or other podcast platforms where you're constantly getting interrupted by things that get in the way of real learning. Fourth, on this platform that you're watching or listening to the episode on, you're only getting a taste of the full episode. And fifth, you can actually put to use everything that you're learning with real people with our global speak, which at just the touch of a button connects you with other speakers in other parts of the world that not only will help you to develop confident, natural English speaking, but also allows you to discover other cultures and become a global citizen. All right, so you can get free access to the premium version of this lesson by tapping the link down in the description below on your phone. All right, so let me lay out what this documentary is all about before we watch the first clip. So you have this guy, Vikram Gandhi, who is the descendant of Indian immigrants, but he himself was born and raised in the state of New Jersey. Throughout his life, he's always been fascinated by religion, from watching his grandmother at prayer and just seeing this inner peace that it brought her. But at the same time, he is very skeptical. He's even cynical because he's seen that many people will actually use religion as a way to manipulate people, either for a sense of ego, power, or to actually just make money off of them. So his idea was to impersonate a guru himself so that he could really understand what motivates people to follow such figures. So although we'll see that Vikram takes on this character of an Indian guru, it's not to by any means make fun of India or Indians or Indian spiritual leaders. Rather, it's because in the United States, there was a lot of importation of Indian culture and wisdom from the East, wisdom from India, China, Japan, and so on, to the point where people would see these things, they'd automatically see yoga or meditation or anything like that and just believe that anyone who's teaching that must have this deep wisdom. There must be someone that you can completely trust in, when that's not at all true. And as I said, there were a lot of people who took advantage of that, who continue to take advantage of that to this day. So before even making this documentary, Vikram himself, he traveled and he met different gurus in the United States and India. And like I said, he saw a lot of this sort of spiritual corruption. A lot of these so-called spiritual leaders that he met, rather than actually trying to help people, they were making it all about themselves. But what he discovers about the type of people who seek out such gurus really shocks him. All right, Izzy, so let's watch the first clip of the documentary where we see Vikram, who now goes by Kumaré, starting to build a reputation for himself in the city of Phoenix, Arizona.
I wanted to try out my disguise in a more formalized setting. So I got my friend to book my guru alter ego as a guest teacher at a local yoga studio.
And you just move.
I created a series of made-up chants. And I taught nonsense rituals and yoga moves. People seem to like it. I thought of that inner peace I found while sitting with my grandmother. Was that real? Could people find the same piece from a made-up religion that they found in a real one? Could I really pull this off?
I felt connected to you right away. Something about you. I was like, I don't know, I'll just follow him anywhere.
This is the story of the biggest lie I've ever told and the greatest truth I've ever experienced. It's about the time I pretended to be a wise guru from the East and started a following of real people in the West. This is the story of Kumaré.
All right, so just to let you guys know, we're only going to be talking about a few of the advanced expressions that we saw highlighted there in blue, or if you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other platform, just a few of those advanced expressions that you heard there. But of course, if you're on the Real Life English app, then you're already seeing those highlighted there. You have vocabulary flashcards for all the advanced expressions. And if there's anything else that we didn't highlight that you also didn't understand, of course, you can just double tap on any words on the interactive transcript and get an instant definition. So Izzy, the first word we're going to look at here is alter ego. So Kumaré is Vikram's alter ego. What does that mean?
It's like Mr. V. Like if you are Mr. V, Mr. Vocabulary, and you start to embody that and act slightly differently, that's exactly an alter ego. But there are, I think, more examples in popular culture, like pop culture, like Eminem, Slim Shady, Bruce Wayne in Batman, or Walter White in Heisenberg, and Breaking Bad, of course, right? And it's like I think it's about having that slight change in their personality that I feel like they are a different person too, right? It's not just about the name.
Awesome. So next he talks about people finding the same piece from a made-up religion that they found in a real one.
Could people find the same piece from a made-up religion that they found in a real one?
Is a phrasal verb too. Like you can make something up, make up a story, and made up with the hyphen, like we can see here, a made-up religion. It's just like a fabricated religion. It's like fictitious. Like it doesn't exist. It's not followed by anyone, but somebody just decided to just create it. Like a fairy tale is a made-up story, right?
Yeah, we often see that, right, with phrasal verbs that will add a hyphen to it and it changes from being a verb to being an adjective. All right, so next, Vikram talks about being able to pull this off, being able to pull off pretending to be a wise guru from the East. Let's listen to that again.
Could I really pull this off?
Yeah, there you go. He says, could I pull this off? Could I really pull this off? I was like, could I really succeed by doing this? But pull off is not just succeeding, right? It has, it adds more quality to that idea of succeeding. How would you differentiate? Just simply saying succeed and pull off.
It's kind of like you maybe managed to do something difficult in a successful way. So, for example, maybe you're a skateboarder and you do a really difficult trick. It's like you pull it off. You were able to do that trick that many people didn't think you could do, or many people aren't able to do. You were able to do it successfully. Or we'll use it a lot too for fashion, you know, that maybe you're wearing something that's kind of outrageous or something that isn't so mainstream for fashion, but it's like, oh man, that looks really good on you. You really pulled it off.
Yeah, or haircut. I always think that you're able to just pull off haircuts that normally I don't think I would, you know. So yeah, you succeed in doing that, and it's challenging.
And I was going to point out too that, like with most phrasal verbs, we have nice connected speech. So I mean, you have like pull off, that the l connects to the off, but also a lot of times we'll say like, oh, you really pulled it off, or you can really pull it off. That if we have like an it in the middle, because it's between vowels, we get that American T, right? The. So it's like pull it off, pull it off. You can really pull it off.
Nice. We saw it in made up too, right?
Made up
as a phrasal verb, like make up.
Yeah. You could say like make it up. Like if you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Both you and I, we've done improv, right? And it's like, oh, I don't know what to say. It's like, make it up, right? Make it up, make it up. Maybe we can watch the next scene, Izzy, and we can kind of see like how things are starting to take roots. In other sense, like how he's starting to be able to get more established as a guru in the city, and you know how he starts evolving his beliefs.
and began writing down the basics of a Kumaré philosophy. As a guru, all I would teach people was that I was an illusion. But in order to find students I could teach this to, I needed to establish myself in the community.
So I see myself in other people, and people I know will look at myself and see what they want to see.
I met Guruji, and I swear he's fresh out of the Himalayas. There's something about him that is truly unique. He's just a simple man. There's nothing phony about him.
The more students I met and classes I taught, the more it seemed the Kumaré movement could take hold. My backstory was equally convoluted.
That's why I ask, where are you from? I say, Alikash, this one from my mind. You have problem?
Basically, I was just telling everybody I was fake.
This whole thing like a show, right? Oh, this one, this guy in a dress looking this, all show. This symbol is your religion symbol?
No, it's just Mickey Mouse.
Then you come like this. So, like this, therefore important that when you don't have you have proper inhale, exhale like that.
Exhale, inhale, exhale.
I am the biggest faker that I know. I fake so much, I forget who I was before.
Just that like breathing exercises he has them doing there at the end. It's just like that they look so
With
insane. You can see like even like in the eyes, it's like they look very animal, right?
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like you're saying, it's documentaries like critical of those supposed leaders, but also like people in general. Is like think, like observe what's happening around you. Just like think, is this really? Does it really make sense? This idea I'm following. It's like think about it. It helps. Like it gives you more conviction if it is true, right?
Yeah, it's kind of just thinking critically, right? Is what we would call that, critical thinking, and just like there is exactly this that the people they sort of put on like blinders, right? Like a horse. That they see this guy, and because of how he's dressed, because of the beard, the long hair, and everything, that they just assume like he has this wisdom that they don't have, and they're not really like listening to what he's really saying, because he said there, "Where are you from?" Alikash, this one from my mind. You have problem? Like this one from my mind. Like he's saying literally that it's just a place that he invented, and if you actually look up that city, it doesn't exist. I don't know if like nowadays if people would be more investigating, you know, like, oh, I'm curious where that city is.
If he was wearing a suit, people would be like, okay, like that doesn't make any sense. But then it's just the looks, right? And he says it. It's like all show.
All show. Yeah.
It's all show.
And it reminds me too of a book both you and I read that is called Influence, which is actually it's really interesting because it goes into the psychology that like many different companies and so use to like get us to buy things, get us to like sign up and so on. And it reminded me of one of the principles of authority, right? And they actually talk about this. They've done studies where people who are just like wearing a white lab coat or like doctor's coat, even if they're not a doctor, people are more likely to do what they say because they have this authority. And this is a very different kind of authority, right? But like people see him with the robes and everything and the beard and the long hair, and it's like it gives him the sense of spiritual authority, even though he's completely making it up, right? So let's get into some of the advanced expressions that we saw here, right? So let's check out what one of Kumaré's followers said.
I met Guruji, and I swear he's fresh out of the Himalayas.
Fresh out of the Himalayas. Himalayas is a place, right? It's like in somewhere close to China. I mean, it's within
India,
China and Nepal.
Tibet, Nepal,
India, all the area where Mount Everest is. And there are all these cultures there with monks and different religions where you'd find monasteries, churches, right? Temples. And some people go there to meditate. I mean, what do you call that? To expand the year.
To do spiritual awakening, to do retreats maybe.
Retreats, that was the word I was looking for, exactly.
There's many famous people who have gone in kind of like exoduses to this region, to like northern India or to Tibet, right? Like the Beatles were really famous for doing that, Steve Jobs, many people like that. And so it's kind of, that's also kind of built a culture, at least in the United States, of many of those countries being attached to like deep spirituality.
Exactly. And then Kumaré, this guy says, this new follower says that he looks like he's just fresh out of the Himalayas, meaning he just come from there. He just arrived from there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other expressions, there are other collocations that you can use fresh out of with, like fresh out of college. So if you're hiring somebody who has no experience, so it's like they just stepped out of college and
just graduated.
The first place they're coming to, just graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And the connected speech, like you just said it there, and I think he used this also, the follower Greg, that it's not fresh out of, but it's that American tea we saw before, like fresh out of. So it's nice for you all to practice your connected speech.
Mm-hmm.
So your speaking really only gets better if you use it, right? So let's practice that again. Let's actually try it. Listen to how Greg said it, and then you repeat it yourself.
I met Guruji, and I swear he's fresh out of the Himalayas. He's fresh out of the Himalayas.
And we've been using some of these different words ourselves, Izzy, but like one thing I really liked in this clip is that we had so many different words that talk about what Vikram is doing, of basically that he's pretending to be this other person. So we hear that actually this follower, Greg, says that there's nothing phony about him.
He's just a simple man. There's nothing phony about him.
But he's so honest that people buy the honesty and just maybe feel the honesty in his character somehow. I don't know what it is that convinces people so much there. But there are all these words, right? Phony, I'll show. What was the other one you said?
Faker. He says he's the biggest faker he knows. So someone who fakes. This is nice too, because people probably know fake. Like if you have like a real diamond and you have fake diamonds, right? But if you use faker, it's actually like from a verb, like someone who fakes. So if you fake something, like there's a expression that we really like to use, right? That comes from Amy Cuddy. That's fake it till you make it. Fake it until you make it, which basically means that sort of like if you pretend something, like if you kind of pretend that you're a fluent English speaker, at some point you'll get there, by actually like doing the things that a fluent English speaker would do. It also kind of like helps you to break out of the imposter syndrome, right? So that's kind of like what a faker is. But there's other words we can use as well, right? Is it like like poser, like someone who's a poser? What's different about the connotation of poser? So I mean, it's a synonym, right? But like, what's the use of it, Izzy?
Well, because we use that word in Portuguese too. Like in English, with my friends, we have that. We say like, oh, this person's a poser, right? So as far as I know, it's like there's some like posturing involved. Like you are not just pretending to be a person, but like because that has some status that kind of goes with that. So you're posing to be that person or that personality, right?
Some examples might help. Like when I was in middle school, so when I was like in early adolescence, right? It was really popular to wear sort of like skater fashion. And that was like a total poser thing, because like you're dressing like someone who skateboards, even though you don't know how to skateboard. Like I went through a phase like that. Or there's something very similar for people who live by the beach. Then there'd be people even like, I had like an uncle who lived in this community where there's a lot of surfers. But they even invented this word called a hodad, which is like a poser who has a surfboard and takes their surfboard, puts it in the sand and just like sits there to like look like they're a surfer, like to impress other people. But it's like just total poser behavior.
Literally, they're just posing, right? Maybe even for a picture, which is the more literal application, like posing for a picture. And there's related expressions that I don't think you'd exactly attach it to a person who is faking it, but maybe situations like bogus. This is bogus. I like it. I like this one, right? Or sham, right?
A sham is
the
like,
person you could say they're full of it too. Oh, this person full of it. How would you use this expression, full of it?
Yeah, so full of it, we'll use it when someone is sort of talking about things that maybe they know nothing about, or they're inventing on the spot. You'd be like, you're full of it. Like that, there's no way what you're saying is true. So it's kind of like to point out that someone is like faking, or that they're making things up. They're not being completely honest. So you can use that maybe in a playful way with like family or friends. But sometimes if you used it, you could use it sometimes to like be more critical, right? Like maybe a politician that you hear speaking, it's really clear that person's lying. You could be like, oh, he's full of it.
Or maybe somebody who actually decided not to follow Kumaré and didn't appear in the documentary, but they could be saying like, oh, I'm not going to follow that guy. He's full of it.
Yeah, I don't buy it, right? Meaning like I don't
buy
believe
it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, yes. And just to close, another interesting expression, because I think Americans are very creative about this type of vocabulary, like pulling a fast one. Like to fool somebody.
Yeah. You're like trying to
pull a fast one.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like a scam too, right? That if you do a scam, it's like doing something oftentimes like to make money, for example, that you might be selling something that it seems like it's a really great product, but it doesn't work, or like selling something that looks like it's a name brand, but it's really, it's really fake. So that's kind of like a scam. Like you don't want to fall for a scam. So if someone pulls a fast one on you, maybe they make you fall for a scam.
Like many of those supposed spiritual leaders.
Yeah. If they're like just trying to get money out of you or trying to use their power to manipulate you, then they're pulling a fast one on you.
Mm-hmm. Now, the opposite of all of this is being the real deal. It's another expression. If a person is the real deal, they are what they are. They're transparent, and also they're even like really skilled. That implies that too, right? That they are good at what they do, so they're the real deal.
All right, so next up we have a really nice expression that fits perfectly for someone who is an imposter, like Kumaré is. So let's check that out.
My backstory was equally convoluted.
Yeah, he says, my backstory was really convoluted, right? Convoluted means like a confusing and complex and not easy to follow.
Difficult to understand.
And backstory, it's so funny. That's where he says that he was from what is that? It's like 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗟𝗶𝗳𝗍.
Alikash, yeah.
Yeah, it's a made-up location, right? It's a made-up place. And his backstory was all over the place. Like, meaning it was like really confusing, like really convoluted. Now, his backstory is just his background, like where he comes from, the story before the story, right? So we're watching this documentary, which tells the story, but things happened before that in his life. That is his backstory.
Yeah. Or like you have this often, right, in superhero comics, like the backstory of how did Spider-Man become Spider-Man? Like he got bit by a radioactive spider. So that's the backstory of how he transformed into a superhero, right? Or
like with Batman, Bruce Wayne, as a kid, his parents were murdered, mugged and murdered. So that's his backstory. And what motivated him to be Batman, and it's the same thing here. Like usually the backstory it's the motivation. It's where you can see why what's happening now is happening now.
All right, Izzy. So next we're going to look at a few stories of some of his followers, which this really helps us to start seeing his transformation.
I used to drink a lot. I used to, chase women. I used to do all sorts of things.
Okay.
On top of all that, I developed a cocaine habit. My life spiraled down.
Okay.
This one night, I'd been up all night smoking crack. And that morning she came back and she said, Greg, I'm leaving. And I said, okay, I need to go get help. And so 6 years ago is when I got clean. And so then we had to repair our lives together.
It took a while.
And when we got married, the one thing we knew we were going to do is put God first. And helping others became the most important thing. The most important thing, just what you're doing right here. By coming here and helping others, the most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
Was I helping anyone? Was I even capable of helping anyone? In many ways, Kumaré was an ideal version of myself. So if other people could create an ideal version of themselves, maybe they would become happier too.
So what you are doing now in your life? You are doing what?
I don't know. I'm like kind of stuck. I don't want to jump into a career. I don't want to put on a suit and go to work every day in an office and sit at a computer and type all day. That doesn't seem fun to me. I want to be able to, go with the flow, change with the wind,
Go with the flow?
Yeah.
Change with the wind?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can imagine yourself as someone else that you feel is more true than you are formed now, then you can make those two become one. Then you will not have some feeling that I am not doing what I want, you will always feel. Is it right?
Man, that's some great philosophy right there. Like, you can't deny it. Like, what he's saying is even part of the things we teach here too with the real life way. You were talking about fake it till you make it. Maybe in a way, Kumaré or Vikram himself is faking until he's actually kind of realizes like, actually, I care about people, you know? I understand this more now.
Yeah, I think the fact that he adopts this like character that causes people to be very open and vulnerable with him is what allows him to, it causes like this shift in his mind in some sense of starting to see people in a different way, where, you know, he could maybe beforehand that he was more skeptical of all these sorts of, it's kind of like cults or these followings and so on, that he sort of shifts to have more empathy. And I think just like starting to see like, okay, each of these people, they're actually like, they're not just crazy, they're real people, they have problems, they're just like looking for help, they're looking for guidance, they're looking for how to have a better life. And I think it's what causes him to start to transform. And like you said, that he starts maybe not just saying that he's faking, like trying to trick people, but that he's created this character that could be an ideal version that he himself can aspire to live up to in his real life.
We live in a very big world with 8 billion people and more and growing. And there's so many different types of movements and religions and philosophies. But I think ultimately, at least for me, as I was saying, I was talking about spirituality before, and for me, the definition of religion, not in the sense of like organized religion, like a particular movement, but just the word itself from Latin, I think it's like from religare, which is like reconnect. So it's like you've lost something, like you've lost touch with yourself, like you're feeling disconnected from yourself or whatever you feel like you need to be more connected with, and just reconnecting with that. So it's about perception, it's about realization. And in that sense, religion is that, at least if you look at the word. Now then there are institutions and groups, even companies that monetize it, and it's, I'm not judging. It's like I just think it's like concepts that need to be distinguished almost, right? And then philosophies permeates that, is like it exists in that realm, and I think it's all the same. It's all one. For me, I connect with this topic like I'm explaining it right now. So it gives me peace, and I like it that way. It's simple.
What do you mean by philosophy permeating religion?
We can think about it literally first, like a more concrete way. Imagine you're cooking like soup, and the smell of that soup is just permeating the air. It's like going to all places in your house, in the room, and it permeates the air. That's what it means. But then you can use it figuratively, like a person's like example and the character kind of permeates the company with like their personal values, and they start to become more influential. So it's permeating. It's like you can see it everywhere. People are starting to follow that person. So you can use it in different ways. I said that philosophy permeates religion because if you go into any religion, there will be a particular philosophy, and the philosophy, I think, is the interesting aspect of it, is the wisdom there. So he was sharing a lot of wisdom with that woman, that lady, and I think for me that there's truth in that. If you reflect, if you come with critical thinking, you can find a lot of truth in that, and it's kind of hard to separate religion in my definition that I just used of the religion and philosophy. It's almost like one. It's reconnecting.
Nice. So the first story that we hear, that same guy that we saw in the first clip, Greg, that he's sharing his backstory, which is that he had problems with drugs and alcohol, right? And he talks about how he kind of, we'll also say like someone hits rock bottom, meaning like if you hit rock bottom, it's like you're in the lowest point of your life. But let's hear the expression that he used here.
My life spiraled down.
Okay.
Yeah, spiral down. My life spiraled down. A spiral is this, like if you're not watching, imagine a tornado, like it spirals, right? But if you're watching, it's just this movement here. But if you spiral down, you're doing this motion, but that you're also going downwards.
Kind of like towards rock bottom.
Towards rock bottom, right? And the spiral here, I think the way I perceive it is like it adds a sense of confusing motion, even like you're going different places and you're just having this journey down, right? It's not straight down, but like you're spiraling down. And then, for example, a story that I already mentioned, Breaking Bad, Walter White. So that's one good example of a story that starts to spiral down or even spiral out of control. That things start to happen and it's all over the place. I said that expression today already too. And it's convoluted and it's spiraling down. It's getting worse and worse. There's a domino effect. It's this noble effect. It's falling apart. All of these mean the same. All of these expressions mean the same in this context that I'm using. It's just like getting worse and worse.
Awesome. So we already mentioned this, right, about how he's kind of like faking it till he makes it, how he starts to see Kumaré Vikram, like the real person starts to see Kumaré as his ideal version. So let's listen to how he said that again.
In many ways, Kumaré was an ideal version of myself. So if other people could create an ideal version of themselves, maybe they would become happier too.
Yeah, ideal version. Nice. It's almost like a collocation. You could also think about best self, or maybe like a better self, and then you have this ideal version, the best version of yourself.
Or like this, what we say at the beginning of each podcast, right? That using your English as the doorway to your greatest life. So it's you could also say like using English as the doorway to become your ideal version. That's something that we want to help you to achieve here at Real Life English. Nice,
yeah. And it's self-development, right? When you talk about self-development, and again, it has a lot to do with all of this: spirituality, religion, philosophy. That's a goal. You're aiming at your best self, and you want to get in touch with that, what that is. It's funny that he said here he made up this personality, Kumaré, and he realized that in a lot of ways, that personality was his best self, was his vision of what he could be. His full potential was Kumaré in some ways, right? The transparency in a funny way, right? Because he's being transparent and kind of being a faker at the same time. But it was nice. Maybe he was born to be a guide. Maybe he was born to be a leader and he didn't know. And that was his first attempt. And it worked.
And Izzy, we even have here a value at Real Life English. So like one of our team's values for everyone that works here is to bring your best self, which means we've talked about this also in other episodes, right? But that we really believe in like doing the things every day that help you to feel like this ideal version of yourself. So it's usually like things like, well, I have like back here, like 7 habits of highly effective people. He calls it sharpen the saw. And it has like doing something for your mind, doing something for your body, doing something for your like spiritual self, and doing something that helps you to have like the social, kind of like charging your social batteries, but like in a positive way, spending time around people who like really help you to feel your best. So that's something that if you can start like building habits, like that morning routine that you have that brings all those things, it's like your life changes substantially. All right, let's move on to, I believe, this other follower that we saw. Her name's Molly, if I'm not mistaken. And she uses a couple expressions here that she just wants to like go with the flow, change with the wind. Let's listen again to what she said there.
I don't want to put on a suit and go to work every day in an office and sit at a computer and type all day. That doesn't seem fun to me. I want to be able to, go with the flow, change with the wind,
So Izzy, I have like a personal relationship with this expression, go with the flow. I don't know if it's, I have mixed feelings maybe about it, because when I was young, I remember I was a very like willful child. This is something that my parents always told me. I was a very willful child. And my brother...
What is that, by the way?
Was... Oh, okay, yeah. If you're very willful, it's like you have a strong desire to get what you want, or to not change your mind, for example, which it's kind of like stubborn, but I think stubborn has more of a negative connotation. Willful is a bit more positive. But my brother was kind of the opposite, and so he'd always just say like, why can't you just go with the flow? Just go with the flow. Meaning, and this just like kind of means like, maybe everyone doesn't want to do what you want to do. So it's like, just go along, which I think there's a time and a place for that. I think sometimes that's good, but I think that there's times where like you need to know yourself what you want and not let other people decide for you. Right. But she's using it maybe like a little bit different, like go with the flow, change with the wind, that maybe she's it's kind of like wanting to tap into the energy of the universe and kind of like find where she belongs. I think she's using it maybe more in that sort of way.
Yeah, and I like that. Well, I felt like I needed to go with the flow more in the past. Do you remember when we started taking improv classes?
Mm-hmm.
You there in Barcelona and me here in Brazil, and
For sure.
That was one of the things that we were talking more about. I was like, man, like we need to just learn more how to do this. How to go with the flow. All those ideas like yes and, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's literally like going with the flow. Like you're not
yes
creating
and?
blocks. Exactly. This is like the universe or the world or your partner in an improv situation or any situation proposes something or goes a certain direction, and you go with them. And if you want to change direction, maybe then you can propose. It's like they say, let's go eat pizza. And you say yes, and it could be pineapple pizza, right? You don't say no. And if they want to act like going with the flow, they're not going to say exactly. They're not going to say no. Go with the flow. It's like yes,
and you can get.
And then it can be half
two pizzas.
half.
We can get a pineapple one, and we can get one that has normal ingredients.
Exactly. And it ended up spending a lot of money, but change with the wind, go with the flow.
Yeah,
exactly that.
Amazing. Okay, Izzy, so we're going to dig into some more scenes and like philosophize a little bit more. We talked about philosophize a bit more with some of the ideas from this documentary. But first, I wanted us to just take a moment to share some gratitude that we have for one of our followers and app users who left a 5-star review for us in the Apple Store.
Yeah. So this one comes from Momo. I think that's how I should read it. We struggle here a bit with names because there's so many cultures, right? So many types of languages. Anyway, so Momo, yeah. And I said this app is the greatest app so far in the Apple Store. I can assure you and recommend with full certainty. You'll find it different from any app you've ever tried. In as short as 5 to 10 minutes daily, you see the best outcome you could ever dream of. And if you have more time, I highly recommend you go through more time daily and you see for yourself, like this is not yourself speaking. You'll move to another level with no doubt. And don't take my word for it when I say that this app is the only app you need and you can trust. You got to try it for yourself and see.
So thanks so much, Momo. And if you haven't tried the Real Life English app yet, what are you waiting for? It's absolutely free to get started. And you're going to see you learn so much more with these lessons. Just like Momo said, that you're not even going to believe for yourself how much better you can speak English if you just build that habit of using the app for a few minutes a day. So don't forget all of these advanced expressions that you're working so hard to learn today. Go and download it for free by tapping the link down in the description now.
All right, guys. So if you want to continue watching this lesson and having fun with Ethan and myself discussing this incredible documentary, click the link in the description below to access the full version of this lesson where you can get this extra part. Also, it comes with all the amazing tools that I already mentioned, like vocabulary practice and even global speak. You can practice speaking with other learners from around the world. So click the link right now and I'll see you over there.